Iqbal, and I represent the Tyseley and Haymills board. This is our second Teams meeting that we are attempting, so please bear with us if we make any mistakes here. So can I welcome everybody first of all, and I'd just like to start by making an announcement that one of our council officers, Bernie Virgin, who was a sport officer at the shelter scheme at Emily Road, I'm sorry to say that she has recently passed away after a short illness. I had the pleasure of working with Bernie since 2012. She was a dedicated and caring, hardworking officer who was very well respected by residents and officers alike. I would like to acknowledge her contribution to the residents of our ward and the shelter scheme, and my thoughts are with her family and the loved ones she has left behind. So I would just like to have that recorded, made note of. Notice of recording. This meeting will be recorded, so participants make sure that they do not mention other people or personal information. Residents listening in online meeting to be advised that the recording of the meeting will be available for future records. Would anybody wish to speak, please? Can you use the hands up facility on your screen, or use the chat box to put in a comment? So I will call you if you would like to ask a question to any speaker or make any comments. Please use the chat line or the raise your hand facility, which is available on iPads and on these things. So can I start by giving I've put on the agenda COVID-19 information update, the latest update from Birmingham Public Health. So can I just welcome Dr. Justin Warney, Director of Public Health, and can I thank him for taking time to come to this board forum meeting. I know how busy he is, and he gets inundated with us, people asking him to come, but I'm really grateful, Dr. Justin Warney, for you to come and give an update. So can I hand over to Justin, so because he has to go off. So Justin, can I hand over to you for the update?
Yes, thank you very much, Councillor, and thank you for having me at your ward forum again. I think, as everyone will be aware, case numbers in Birmingham have risen rapidly, and just to give this in perspective, the case rate as of the 7th of September for the preceding 7 days is now 75 cases per 100,000. In comparison, about a week earlier, we were running at 30 cases per 100,000. So we've over doubled in the last 7 to 10 days. And we have seen, and that translates in terms of the number of cases we're seeing across the city into 856 cases of new cases of confirmed coronavirus over the last 7 days up to the 7th of September. We are also seeing an increase in hospitalizations, so an increasing number of people who've been admitted to University Hospital Birmingham and now also to Samwell and West Birmingham Hospital Trust. Sadly, that has also meant an increased number of people who are in intensive care, and we have had a small number of deaths from COVID. We would expect, based on the evidence from countries like Spain and Switzerland, that there is an increase in cases initially in younger adults, as we saw in mid to late August, and then about a month later you start to see a rapid increase in hospitalizations and spread across into older age groups. And that's what we're starting to see in Birmingham. There has been an increase in all age groups under the age of 60 and in all ethnic communities, although the majority of positive cases are still in our Asian community, but almost every ethnic community last week doubled the number of cases. Some of this is because we are improving testing, but the majority of this is actually because the number of people who test positive, who are taking a test, has also doubled. So we've gone from about 2.5% of tests in the community being positive to now just over 6.5% testing positive. So that really tells us that this is a real increase in the community. The majority of the reasons that we are seeing is that the spread is through people mixing in private households and private gardens, rather than in workplaces or in schools or other settings. So we're seeing that in the context that behind closed doors, many of us, too many of us, are forgetting to keep that 2-meter distance from the people that we love. We're sharing teacups, plates of biscuits. We're forgetting to clean the door handle on the toilet when guests leave. And sadly, that's leading to the spread of the virus. So we are expecting tomorrow there will be further announcements on additional restrictions for Birmingham on top of the change that was announced by the Prime Minister earlier this week into the number of people gathering. I expect that will be announced mid-morning. All I can say at this stage is you'll understand this is embargoed information, but if you look at what the restrictions are for the north of England and the numbers, our numbers are very similar to those of Manchester and areas like Sunderland. So it doesn't take a complete genius to go, we're probably going to see very similar restrictions as the north of England. And if we do, those are primarily about preventing households mixing with other households inside private houses or gardens. And again, this links back to the science, which is showing that's how this is spreading. People are forgetting to keep social distance when they're socializing and spreading COVID as well as love and friendship, unfortunately. So as I said, the announcement will come tomorrow about additional restrictions for Birmingham. I do not expect to see any restrictions on travel. And alongside this, the council are continuing to work with businesses to increase and ensure that businesses are COVID safe. We set up the whistleblowing line on the council website. So if you do go to a shop or to a restaurant or a pub, or if your child's school is not doing what you think it should, then report it to us. We've had almost over 900 calls actually now to that helpline, all reported through the web form. We follow up on every one. The vast majority of businesses take on board the advice and are doing exactly what's asked. You would have seen in the media what we do in terms of enforcement in businesses that don't do what we ask them to do. And we now have legal powers to give fines or to close a premise if they are not complying with the guidelines. And we have been stepping that up since the middle of August, quite proactively in line with the powers the local authority has. The final things that I'll just touch on are in relation to testing. So there is a national issue with testing. This is more about the people that take your test kit and put it into the testing machine, and there being a limited number of those, than it is about not enough test kits or not enough machines. And so to manage that, the government is turning the booking system off at different points during the day and then turning it back on again to manage the flow and the demand. So if you're trying to get a test and it tells you there's not one available, then leave it an hour or two and try again, because we are finding that people are able to get through, sometimes unfortunately on their second or third attempt, but they are getting there in the end. Alongside this, the council is working to increase access to testing. We've opened new walk-through testing sites across the city. There's new ones gone live in the Saltney Leisure Centre. There's one at the Southgate car park of the University of Birmingham. We're bringing those online as quickly as we can. They have to be built, so they take time. But we've already gone from only having one 2 weeks ago to now having 5 that are operational. And my ambition is to, by the end of September, have 10 operational across the city. The walk-through sites, you book your appointment through the national website in the same way you book a postal kit. They're only offered to people within a reasonable walking distance. So it's about 2 miles, which is a pretty fair track for most of us. But that's because you are able to book that appointment if you want to cycle there as well. The drive-through testing sites, we have 2 which are mobile in the city. They move between the Old Tower Ballroom site on, I think it's Osler Street, the Brewery Street car park, Moseley Rugby Football Ground, and from next week we'll bring on an additional site in Longbridge at the St Maurens housing development. There's 2 basically, and they move between those sites on different days. Drive-through sites are offered to people up to 75 miles away. So I'm very keen that we focus more on walk-through sites because that will benefit the residents of Birmingham. And we're putting most of our effort into making more walk-through sites available across the city to increase access to you to be able to test in that way rather than a postal kit that takes a few days. The final bit on testing is that we are rolling out drop and collect. This is where we're coming to very specific geographical areas of the city. We're usually doing 3 or 4 streets at a time, where we're knocking on doors and offering testing kits to the people in the house, and then we pick them up an hour later. We're doing this in areas where there are more than expected number of cases, or where testing has been very, very low, and it looks odd because the areas around have got positive cases and this one little cluster of streets doesn't. So if you do get a drop and collect team come, they will all work for the council, or for the police, or for the fire service, or the NHS. So they'll have an ID badge, and they will show you that when they answer the door. The test kit is free. They will not ask for any money. They will not ask any of your personal details unless you ask for help registering the test kit, which they're able to do on their tablets. And there will always be 2 of them. So that's the other key thing that tells you it's definitely drop and collect. And we are trying to make sure that ward members are aware of where we're going next, so that they can also help get the information out for you as that rolls out, and you'll see that increase over the coming days and weeks. My final point to share is on the vaccine. You will be aware that there's been an issue in the Oxford vaccine trial, which means the trial's been paused. As I think I said when I met with you last, vaccines take a long time to develop. And it is perfectly normal as part of the trial that we identify side effects or issues, and the trials pause for a bit while that's investigated, and we allow a bit more time to see if anyone else develops the same problems before it proceeds. I do not expect to see a vaccine rolled out this calendar year, and therefore the things that we're asking you to do, which is wear a face covering, sorry, I'll get it the right way around. Start with your hands. Wash your hands as much as possible. So wash your hands, and particularly before you touch your face. On your face, wear a face covering that covers from your nose to under your chin if you're going inside a building you don't live in, or into a taxi, or into a bus, any form of public transport. And finally, space, 2 meters. Keep 2 meters apart from anyone that you don't share a house with. So 2 meters apart from anyone that you do not live with. So hands, face, space. Those are the important steps which keep us safe and stop this virus spreading. So I'm happy to stop there, Councillor, if you have any questions you want to raise.
Yeah, thank you, Justin. That was really useful information, and thank you for updating us. Are there any questions from other people in the meeting? I can't see any. Can you see any hands, Tess? Or have people typed in? I can't see any hands up anyway. So okay, so some of these testing centres, the road by road testing you're doing, Justin. Do you know which areas have we started, or which are the areas that you are covering at the moment?
Yeah, so at the moment we're focusing predominantly initially in the Spark Hill area, and that's because we have seen a rise in cases in that area, and testing uptake has been relatively low. We're also in Hall Green North and Hall Green South. I think we will be coming to Tyseley and Hay Mills, but it's not on this week's schedule. So when we do know, and when it is in the schedule for the following week, I will let you know.
Okay, that's fine. And one of the other things that I had a question this afternoon was from a resident was that one of the because the schools have restarted, and she was told by the school that because the child's got a cough, she has to take him home and go for a test. And she said she couldn't get a test. The nearest test was Oldham or somewhere. So I think you explained that how that works. So she has to keep trying or something. Did you say?
Yeah, so I would say keep trying. What I would also say is, if you go in and it tells you the nearest drive-through test is Oldham, which is, I think, just about 75 miles away. The other option is to go in and say you don't have a car, and then it'll give you a postal test instead. Although there are limits on the postal tests as well. As I say, we are opening up more drive-through sites. We are pushing to get more drive-through sites from government. There's also the regional testing site, which has moved from Edgbaston Cricket Ground to Birmingham Airport. I have to say I get a daily report on the testing sites. They are all at 100% capacity. I think yesterday there were only 2 that were less than 100%, and they were both at the far end of Scotland, so not much use to, I'm afraid, here. So if you don't find one, give it an hour, log back in, because they are releasing the slots at stages through the day. Okay.
And this thing that's coming in on Monday, 6 people is that from the same families, or is it from different people? 6 different people can be there.
Yeah, so what I would say is the announcement tomorrow is likely to be slightly different from the national guidance. So the national guidance from Monday is only 6 people meeting up within a private house or private garden or outside. And there are exemptions if households are larger. So if you have 8 people that live in your house, that doesn't mean 2 people have to move out. But there will be additional guidance for Birmingham that will be announced tomorrow morning, and that is likely to be in line with the north of England, which says no household can visit another household's in their private house or private garden. So although the 6 is important when you think about booking restaurants, for example, restaurants will not be able to accept bookings of more than 6 people. And there are some exemptions for large households, but they couldn't accept 2 households, for example, of both of 6 people. Now it will be if one household is 6 people or 8 people, that's a single booking. They can't meet another household. So that's part of the guidelines that are coming through. The other part of the national guidelines is restaurants are required to keep registers of people booking. And I think, as we've been saying for the last couple of weeks now, you wouldn't go into a restaurant that had a lock on the fire escape and no fire extinguishers. So if you walk into a restaurant or a pub, they're not taking your details. It doesn't look like it's COVID safe. Take your business somewhere else. Keep yourself safe. Keep your family safe. Don't take the risk.
Thank you, Justin. I've got a question. Andy Brown, I think, wants to come in. Andy?
Yeah, if we go down into lockdown similar to the north of England, how will that affect community facilities?
So there are guidelines already about the implications of the restrictions. If we go in, as I expect us to, with the restriction on household gatherings in private houses, it has no difference makes no impact on education, workplaces or community centres. The rule of 6 does have implications for community centres. And there is guidance on the national website for community centres about how to operate COVID safely and what they can and can't do in terms of operating.
Yeah, thanks very much. Getting to be quite an expert on that guidance, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Andy, for that. Any other person on the line wants to ask a question to Justin? Now's your time. Okay, we don't have anybody, Justin. Can I just thank you sincerely for coming and giving this update? And I appreciate your time, because I know how busy you are, and the advice that you have given on will follow that, and we will reinstate that afterwards. So I just like to thank you, and you can leave now. I suppose you've got other things to do, and we'll carry on with the meeting. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, so carrying on with the agenda. Ward councillors announcements and update. I have sent out my report for this meeting, which I hope everybody's got. If you haven't got it, if you let me know, I will send it out to you. In the report, I mean, I've covered most of the things that I've been doing for the last couple of months. So, you know, there are some things in there that we will get an update on. I mean, Carol's going to do an update on the Oaklands. And then, you know, the main issue at the moment still is the fly tipping and the beggars and the homeless people on the Coventry Road. There's an update on the Haybers project as well. Just two more announcements that I'd like to let you know of. On the 19th of September, I think the Active Wellbeing Society are doing a close to arms day, and they will be passing through the Oaklands. And Andy, myself, ours in the yard, one will be litter picking there from 12 o'clock till 1 o'clock, and we will, you know, when the Taz and his team comes past, they're doing the Route 11 bus route, I think. And so we will be in the Oaklands at 12 o'clock on the 19th. The other thing we have arranged is, and this is the Keep Britain Tidy litter pick, which will be on George Road on the 26th at 10 a.m. by the Pocket Park at George Road. Again, you know, we will have litter equipment. It will be COVID safe. We've gone through the procedures with Fran, who's doing one in Acock Green. So, you know, we've got all the equipment and all the bags, and if people want to join in there, that would be really helpful. On the beggars and on the homeless people on the Coventry Road, I attended the Community Safety Partnership meeting on Tuesday, and I raised it with the new inspector that, you know, we've been talking about this for a long while, and we had it open all-out day, a few weeks back, where we had a problem on Flora Road. There's a building at the back of the shops that's not safe, and they're using that building. They're causing antisocial behaviour at the Holiday Inn on the shops. So, you know, he has reassured me that, you know, this will be a task and finished job. We will look at the whole from the retail park all the way to the Bill and Bull, and he will come back and we will put in a plan. Unfortunately, I'm not sure whether we got a police guy. No, I've just had an email from Ronald Flynn saying that, you know, he can't get into the Teams link. And he said, brief update on some of the matters on the agenda. I believe that on the 16th and 20th, he will have a new sergeant. Yeah, we got a new sergeant for the South Yardley Ward, which is the Tyseley Hay Mills pit. Her name is Laura Burke, and she has been appointed, but she will be in place on the 16th. With regard to other issues, the beggars along the Country Road, well, they have issued 14 community protection orders, warnings, sorry, and which have now been pressed onto the issue of community protection notices. So, you know, from the community protection warning, they've gone to the community protection notices. We have also drafted in wider community protection warnings, which have, so, you know, I've talked through that process with the inspector yesterday on Tuesday, and hopefully in the next meeting I will be able to update you. We also done a virtual walk at the Oaklands yesterday with the Active Wellbeing Society. There were Bono was there, Sharon was there, a few other people were there, and there were a few questions raised. So we're fortunate we got Carol with us today, and she will give an update after I finish my report. Some of the planning applications that came in through the ward. One was the HMO on Stockville Road, which people may know about. This was a 48-bed sort of a hostel HMO they were setting up. We objected to it twice on the grounds of planning, and people from Acock Green, Stockville Association sort of helped out in this. My colleague councillors John O'Shea, Roger Homer, Mrs. Lorden from Acock Green. So that has been rejected now. So I'm not sure whether this is going to go to the inspector in London or not, but at the moment that planning permission has been rejected. a planning application on Summer Road where the Albron Grammar School is. That has been approved because what they're going to do is, if people know the school, there was a big issue about parking and traffic and all that. So they are going to take 2 houses out on Summer Road and they're going to make it into a one-way system. So the traffic will go into the school and come out on the school, so that releases the traffic from the club on the other side and Scarsford. Tornado tires, that application, somebody put a question to me the other day. So I've had an email back from the planning officer. She said, I can confirm that there are no current applications on this site. A previous application for a new warehouse was withdrawn. So there is no application at the moment on that. And the little car park, we've had complaints about that, where people use that once the Lidl is closed in Acox Green, the one on the Alton Boulevard East. That's the one I'm talking about. So I've written to them and they've said that, the email they've sent, we will explore the possibility of installing a barrier to the entrance of the car park. In the meantime, if there's any, so, they're looking into, because residents have asked for a barrier to be put up so that youths and, people can't get into it in the evening. Apart from that, I don't think there is anything else that I've got. Everything else is in the report. So if people got any questions, I'm happy to take them now. Or we can, if you want to put your hand up or if you want to put it in the chat. We have got an update from Sylvia as well, Arts in the Yard, about the planters, which was another project. So there are no questions, but if people want to come back later, I'm happy to come back to it. Westmoreland Police are not here today because obviously I've just had an email from one of the PCs, and hopefully in the next meeting we'll get the new sergeant, and she will. I'll make sure that she's there at the next meeting. Sylvia, are you on? I'm not sure whether Sylvia is. Sylvia, if you can give an update on the Haybills Planters project, that would be great.
Hi everyone, it's Sylvia from Arts in the Yard. I'll turn my camera on. So.
Yeah, put your camera on, and if you got any slides or anything you want to put on.
I haven't got any slides with me today.
Okay, not to worry.
So if people do want to have a look at the planter, it is on our social media, Arts in the Yard, Facebook. So the project is coming to an end. So we achieved 2 outcomes for this project. Is one of the outcome you already seen on Coventry Road. We working with Banu's group, Kawa Teens Creative Mind. So they have been working really hard throughout the summer, get this planter completed. We also have a lot of help from Fran from Acox Green in Bloom to help us to put the plants in. We also want to thank you for Active Wellbeing Society for supporting us with the plants as well. So, so the planter is completed, and we have a group of local people have kindly raised up the hand, adopted the planter. So they are all people really local, walking distance within the planter to look after the plants, water it whenever they can. So Banu can tell you a bit more about it with the planter adoption. And the other outcome we are wrapping it up and want to pinpoint is we are also with the project itself, we are also working with Acox Green Men's Shed. So they have been working really hard using recycled wood from Webster and Horsford. They handmade some wooden planter. And we will have some handmade tile made by Red Hill School students that will all come together. So we need to identify some location for this brand new planter to be put in our public area within the ward. So we're due to have some more steering group meeting to identify the area. So do keep an eye out for the space. And there will be some more new artworks be installed in the area. I don't know, Banu, if you want to talk about the planter adoption, or I mean, would you like?
Okay. Bana, if you want to say something, you're welcome to say something now. I don't know whether she's there. Anyway, the planters that Sylvia was just talking about, they're on the Commentary Road. They start by the Holiday Inn on the main Commentary Road and they go all the way down. And the feedback that I've had from residents has been really, really positive. I mean, if people had seen them before, and if you've seen them now, I mean, they're amazing. They've been painted. We've used an artist, Sylvia and Sophie, Bono, and the ladies have planted really beautiful flowers. So, if you go past there towards the airport, you can see them. There's about 10 of them, I think. And they're really, really beautiful. And the feedback from the community and from the residents in Geraldine, in Flora Road, and Gladys Road has been really positive. The shopkeepers have come out to help as well, which is great. So, I mean, friends come from Acres Green to help us. So, what's happened now is that, from the work that we've done there, Bono and Fran have moved down to George Road. And the two pocket parks, which are on the Commentary Road, one is the George Road Pocket Park and one is the Red Hill Pocket Park. And even today, when I went past, Fran and Bono and a guy called George, who lives on George Road, they were working on the park today. So, I think Bono's trying to get us into this Hay Mills Bloom, that we can enter into a competition for the Great British Bloom. So, it's been really positive. A lot of people who have seen this work done have joined in. So we've come through with 6 or 7 new volunteers on George Road who have said they want to be part of this project. So that's why we're doing the cleanup on the 26th. The other thing that we're going to do is on next week, I think I've arranged with Barna, Sarah Royal from the Open Spaces will come and help us to set up a friends group for the 2 pocket parks so that, we can set up a friends group and then we can apply for different set of funding and maybe do stuff there. So that's all going on at the moment. So I'm not sure whether Bono is back in now. Bono, do you want to say anything about the planters or the work we're doing on the George Road Park?
Hi, hello everyone. I have to go, one of the volunteer was at my door and I don't want to say that I am not available for her. Yeah, we have been doing lots of work in Hay Mills and I thought why not we go and for Hay Mills in Bloom. But yeah, for this Hay Mills in Bloom, lots of work need to be done before the judges will come. So only I am doing some work with Fran, but I think we need more volunteers. So anybody or any organization, if they can offer us some help with gardening or gardening stuff, that would be really helpful for the next year. We are what we are going to, and I think for an Asian community where we've been living is more than 90% people are Asian. So that's why I came out of my house, that if I can do it, so other people can feel flexible or comfortable to talk to me in their language. And yeah, we have more volunteers today. They sign up and they said they are available for George Road or one of the pocket parks for anything. So this is a really good sign, and I don't want to make this stop. And from Planter Project, yes, we have received lots of good feedback from the community and from the big organization. And yes, obviously, Arts in the Yards help us a lot. But again, I feel like that safety an issue for the community if only the ladies are working. So I would say to Zafar that
women involved.
If you provide some more safety or some people around us, that would be really helpful. And thank you so much, everyone, for listening to me. Thanks.
Thank you, Bana. I'd just like to reiterate that, Sylvia, Bono, Fran. I mean, Fran, as people may know, that she works in Acres Green, but she always comes down to Hay Mills to help us. She helped with the planters, she helped with choosing the plants, planting them. She talks to everybody she meets, and she tries to get more volunteers involved. So if anybody is interested, or if anybody who knows, people who are interested, they can contact either of us, Bono, myself, Sylvia, Bran, and we will, get this next week when we have the meeting with Sarah Royal. I'm sure we'll be able to set up a friends group for those 2 pocket parks, and we will move forward. But my thanks to everybody who has, helped us from day one till now, and hopefully we will continue. Any questions on that? No. Okay. So moving on to Carol Unwin. She's the Senior Landscape Architect at Birmingham City Council. She will give an update on the Oaklands project. Carol, can you hear me or can you see me? Oh,
yes. Yeah. Hi.
Okay, so over to you. Oh.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor, and thank you everyone for this opportunity. Yeah, it's I hope my signal will hold up. But anyway, it's been really exciting time. Obviously, it was about 1.5 years ago when the steering group sort of first put together the brief for the Phase 5 works. And so it's been great taking that forward. And it's been really exciting to finally see the elements that the community wanted and that the steering group approved. It's been exciting seeing them go in. Obviously, the contractor had started work and then COVID hit. So, apologies that it should have all been finished in July, but obviously we still have the planting to go in, and we still have a viewpoint sign on the mound as well. So I know it looks a bit odd with the planting beds bare. The contractor did come and try and start those planting works. You might have seen in June they were sort of preparing again, but in the end, with manpower and sort of safety concerns, they didn't. So yeah, it's been great seeing things happen on site. Lovely to see all the community enjoying and interacting with the sort of waymarking features. Obviously, one major part of the brief was to raise the profile of Oaklands Rec from the roads, because of course you can see glimpses of the park from different roads, but you wouldn't necessarily know it's the same park. And the idea of the O beacons was to sort of have a visual clue for people driving by, as well as people obviously to enjoy in the park. So the idea is they're like beacons, you can always see another one from where you are, and just a really nice positive thing to have, and helps locate different parts of the park. Again, there's a concept of, because of the height of Oaklands, again you can see Bar Beacon and the Clent Hills, and just the idea of beacons, that was what really was the concept for the O features. So the idea that they're sort of rolling down the hill a little bit, and they're all at a slightly different angle, and again little children can go through them. Haven't noticed so many adults going through them yet, but I did though, so I don't know if you enjoyed that. The other things the community steering group wanted were additional seating. So we've got new picnic benches, and again other new oak seating blocks, which you can now have. So that's increased the amount of seating. Again, just nice entrance features. The park is so large that it's nice when you come through the gateways to feel like you've entered a new space. And again, the concept with the woodland areas, you might have seen some of the small trees planted. They'll grow up and then they'll sort of help shape different areas of the park. So there'll be more chances for different glimpses and different spaces. So it'll help become more of a destination, I guess, while keeping the really open views that we all love. Another element was the mound, and people, if you remember, there was fencing around it. It was a little mud path up, and although the wildflowers were lovely, that it didn't really work, and obviously wasn't that accessible. So again, it's been lovely to see people enjoy, people push buggies up there or on mobility scooters, or just walk up to that mound. The fencing's come down, and we've sort of got just clusters of boulders, just to give the character. And the idea is, of course, there'll be lovely flowers, colourful flowers and plants against those boulders and near the purple entrance posts as well. I think that's keep it fairly short, and I don't know if people have got questions at all.
Yeah, we done a virtual walk yesterday. I don't know whether you saw it on the Active Wellbeing Society website. And there were some questions that came up. One of them was that, I've had some tremendous feedback because, as you know, I walk the park every morning and I walk it every evening as well. So, lots of people have given so many compliments and said how beautiful it looks and how especially the wildlife things that you managed to put in and the mount and the O's. But one of the things was saying, this guy came up and said, well, the O's, they're yellow, but it says on them, I love Oakland, but you can't see it. So shouldn't that be in a different color or something like that? I don't know. That was one of the questions anyway.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I think I did think about that. One thing I love when I'm creating landscapes and as a landscape architect, you sort of try and create quite rich environments, and so in a way I quite like that you sort of have to go close to them to then see it, and it's a little bit more subtle. So yeah, that was the thinking behind it, that there's a little level of detail there if you go up to them a bit closer. Helps.
Been up too close. Andy's got his hand up. Andy, do you want to come in? Oh, there you are. Okay, Andy. You're on mute, mate. Unmute your mic.
Yeah, is that better? So I went on the, should know by now, I've done enough of these. I went on the virtual walk with Taz and Zafar and Bano and Arts in the Yard the other morning, and it's absolutely superb what's been achieved. I mean, I've watched that park develop over several phases, and it is, it is to be congratulated what the community and the help of Carol have really achieved, and that park is really starting to change and mature now, and it's looking a fantastic place to be. And so I'd just like to say well done to everybody who's been involved in that, because it's really transformed that area in an amazing way. But when we did phase 4, we asked for the football pitches and the recreational facilities include opportunities for sport and fitness, and with a view of that in mind, knowing that they were going to be done at the community centre at Hogmore, we created a new football club for young people in the area, and it is right next to the park. And people don't actually know, but when the community centre was built, a load of changing rooms were built by Sport Birmingham to service all this, and they've never been used in 12 years, which is an absolute shame, because they are the most modern facilities that anybody could wish for. So we started this football club, and we now have 200 young people who come, who are members and regularly play football and get regular exercise and increase their skills and everything that goes with that, and have a real passion for the sport. And we started with quite young children, and they've grown up now. We've been going about 3 years, so we've now got a substantial number of under 14s that want to play a bit more competitively, and that's fantastic. So I'm just a bit bemused really why those football pitches haven't been reinstated, because our kids want to play on them. Our local Yardley kids want to play proper competitive football. You know, we're an FA affiliated club. It's not been easy, and the community have put in a tremendous amount of work. And you know, so now so first of all, I was told there was a waiting list. Well, there isn't a waiting list for the footballs, you know. Then I was told that we'd need to do all the COVID risk assessments, which of course we've done anyway, because we're playing down at the community centre, which has 7-a-side pitches every week. We've done all that, so we submitted all that. And now we're being told that the football pitches where all that money was spent levelling them. You remember the bit around by Henry's Road? There was there, and that's what made the mound. You know, we levelled that all off, and we made the mound out of the earth, which was a really creative way to instead of throwing that soil away, we you know, that was fabulous. But now we're told that those surfaces are not fit to play on. And apparently there's an ergomologist report. You know, we'd really like to see the ergomologist report to say what works. They said it needs a lot of work. Well, you know, we put all that money in, and why does it need so much work? And can we please see this ergomologist report, and so that we know what work needs to be done? And you know, our young people are passionate about playing the football. The football season, you know, for them starts next Saturday, and they've got nowhere to play next Sunday, and they haven't got anywhere to play because, you know, all as I get is, well, you know, the pitches, you need a risk assessment. Oh no, now the pitches aren't ready. Oh, we can't put the goals in. And it's just so disappointing for our young people. You know, do we care about our young people? It is just so. They are devastating. It's so disappointing, and they've worked so hard to get into this new team. They need an 11-a-side pitch that we haven't got, and they're just so disappointed. And I just feel that they're being let down by the council, really. You know, we had a vision 3 years ago to do this, and I don't know how it's lost its way, but it's lost its way. We've done our bit. We're providing all the exercise. We've done all the training. We've done all the getting the club set up. We've got a local committee of local people who run this football club, and now when it comes to the crunch, we're just totally let down by the council, and it's so sad. And I just want that to change.
Shall I answer that, Andy? You finished? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can I just thank you first of all? Yeah. And I totally agree with you that, you know, for the last 4 years you've been involved. The community's been involved in this. The residents, the friends of the Oaklands. Before Carol, Iggy was involved. So, you know, we've had the sport, and we've had the people, and we've had the discussions. As you know, I'm on the steering group as well. I'm as much disappointed as you. And I did email, I don't know if you saw my email, what I put in there. I have asked for a meeting with Mike Hinton and John O'Shea to get to the bottom of this. And the report you asked for, I want to see that report as well. So I'm really disappointed that, you know, 3-4 years down the line, when the community and the residents have done everything like you say, but the football pitches are not ready, and the money is there as well. It's not about the money either, because, you know, the money was made available through Section 106. So I totally take on board what you're saying. I totally agree with you, and I will pursue it. I've asked for a meeting with both of them, and I'm really sorry that, you know, it's taken. All the other things have come on board, but the football pitches and the cricket pitches haven't. even the cricket pitches are not ready because, you remember we said we would get the cricket pitches ready. They're not ready either. So all I can say is, I mean, I've seen Carol's emails, I've seen your email. I've responded to one of them. I will do whatever I can to make sure that, we get this pitch, even if we can get 1 or 2 pitches ready for September. I will do my very best. That's all I can say to you. But
Yeah,
I appreciate.
I just want to make it clear that it's not your fault, Zafar.
No.
And it's certainly not Carol's fault. And
Well, you can't blame Carol. You can blame me probably as the elected member, but you can't blame Carol for it.
No,
Carol, I think the short time that.
And I just want to make that clear. But it is parks that and the other thing is all the football pitches are going at Barrows Lane. They're all going. All the goalposts on Gilbertstone have been removed. We've got the Commonwealth Games coming up, and it looks like the council do not care about sport for our young people in Yardley. That's what it looks like to me.
I did put in the email. I think I did mention the Commonwealth Games, and you're right in the area. We used to have the co-op pitches just up the road on the U Tree. Those have gone. Barrows Lane is being built on, I think, and I think in that application it does say that we got the Oaklands. We really haven't got the Oaklands because the football pitches ain't ready even for us. So how can they say that that site is okay to sell and then this site? So I take on board what you're saying, and as you know, I'm on the steering group with yourself. And we have got a meeting coming up soon, I think on the 26th, I think, or the 25th. And before that, I will definitely try to meet up with the cabinet member and Parks to see where this report is and what this report is and what kind of, I've lived by the Oaklands for the last 30 years and my son played there. And I've seen far worse pitches that we played on, but it looks all right to me. But, I can't argue with the health and safety, and I can't argue with, if somebody's telling me it's health and safety risk, I have to take that seriously and I have to get to the bottom. So I am onto it. So hopefully before the steering group meeting, we can have this meeting and I will update you.
Yeah, and we want to see a copy of this so-called report.
I've already asked for it, Andy. Yeah. So as soon as we get it, I'll let you have it. Are there any other questions on the Oakland, specifically for Carol, while we got her here today? I'm really glad that she did find time to join us. So the other thing that, Andy, do you remember there was another question somebody asked on the web yesterday about the stones? I can't seem to remember where I put the notes now. There was a question about why we got the stones at the, and what benefit are they to wildlife?
Yeah, so what benefit are the stones to
the wildlife, I think it was.
The wildlife. And the other question was, why have some of the trees have died? Will they be replaced?
Oh yeah, that was the other point. Yeah, thank you, Carol. Can you answer?
Yeah, no, actually, yeah, thank you. Thanks for raising those, because yeah. So there was some of the trees. They were oaks, and the Forestry Commission came and cut them all down one day. They cut some of them down because they had the oak processionary moth. So that was quite an unusual problem, but I think this moth had been spotted on one, so all those oaks had to come down, but they will be replanted in the planting works are going to take place this October, so those trees will be replanted then. We're also will be removing the guards around all the trees at some point. I think it might have to just wait for the next phase because it's quite an operation, but I know some of those are not looking smart, they're sort of a bit broken, so we are aware of that and we will be trying to get that sorted. The boulders, yeah, it's all part of, I suppose, the overall design. My brief was sort of to add character and different spaces to the park. I know, obviously, as I said, the planting will go in next to the boulders, so hopefully you'll sort of have nice contrast between the boulders and the planting, and just interesting things to look at. What can happen, as you might be aware, with planting beds in parks, is it's just nice to have a variety of features rather than just grass and shrubs. So again, you might see we've got timber posts around some of the planting beds, and that's just to sometimes, believe it or not, somebody mowing the grass, sometimes if they don't spot there's a planting bed, sometimes they can mow small plants out. So some of the logs are to avoid that. And again, I suppose the boulders, it's all about creating that sense of presence at the entrances. So just the contrast between the purple posts and the boulders, and then the flowers and plants and all those textures. So it's about just the richness of textures and things. I'm sure some wildlife will enjoy the shade and the little nooks and crannies in the boulders, but it's sort of visual amenity, I guess, if that helps. Also, we've had some extra gym equipment as well, I forgot to mention. So there's just that extra little gym area which has gone in.
Yeah, I was going to comment on that. That little area that you put in as the gym, because I'm there every morning. It is very well used. As soon as it was opened, this fencing was taken off. That area is being used now. You can see 3 or 4 people around it every morning, like the other area. So that's really been well used. And when we were there yesterday, the mount, we saw a family using a buggy going up. So we saw it in practice what we were talking about. And that was really lovely to see that children with a family and a buggy were going up. They went up there and sat on the benches, and we waited for them to come down so we could go up because we were filming. So that was really good. So when is the sign going up? Do you know when the sign is going up on the mount?
Yeah, it's ordered. So hopefully just sort of in the next few weeks. I need to check on the delivery date, but yeah, hoping it will be installed at the time the planting happens as well. And it's got the landmarks marked out and a bit of the city skyline. So yeah, that'll be good.
Okay, that's fine. Anybody else got any comments for Carol? No. Okay, everybody seems to be happy with the project, so thank you, Carol, for that. Okay, moving on to the agenda item number 6. This is where the residents can have their views or ask questions or raise any concerns or raise any issues that are in the area. If there are any people, if they want to speak now, please. Anybody got any questions or concerns or want to raise any issue in the area? Is there anybody? No? Okay. But that seems to be straightforward. Okay. Okay, so we've covered everything I think that we said we would on the agenda. The only thing is for the date of the next meeting. I'm not going to do a meeting at the moment because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the risk assessment done on my advice bureaus so that they can be opened up again, because I get lots of casework and people, because I live in the area, a lot of people knock my door as well. So I'm trying to get the advice bureau, which are done in James Road every Friday, trying to get them open up again. So I've done the risk assessment forms today. Hopefully I will get permission to open with appointments only in the beginning, and we will make sure that it's COVID safe and social distancing and all that sort of stuff goes in. And I'm hoping that before the next one, if we can't get a meeting done at the Scouts Hut or at the community centre, we might do another one online, but I will let everybody know when we do it. So we don't need to agree a date at the moment. Anybody else finally got any points or anything they want to raise before I close the meeting? No? Okay, so I'd like to thank everybody who joined and all the speakers who came. Thank you very much. Till the next time. Good night.